Mr. David is here.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. Today is our webinar and it's our November edition. So we can see that we already have our guests and people already in the room with us. So please, we just want you to give us like 2 minutes more so that we'll have more people join, because the topic we are going to discuss today is a very, very crucial and an important topic. So we want more people to be in the room and, listen to this topic and learn with us. Thank you so much. We can see you, Mr. Udo Hakanga. We can see Mr. Adekunle. Thank you so much for joining us on today's webinar. And we know that you've been enjoying our previous webinars, and that's why you are here again. So we just want to thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bernard Jiburum. Thank you. We will start very soon. We just want more persons to be in the room. Thank you.
Nice to be with you. Not sure how many more persons we have to get before we start. Thank you for welcoming me.
5 things you never knew you could do on ASAM eTrade. Open a 100% paperless investment and trading account within minutes. Seamlessly trade Nigerian equities and treasury bills by yourself. Download your contract note and account statement immediately after trading. Access excellent research and analysis for investment decision-making. Fund your account directly without contacting us. You see, trading is simple as ASAM eTrade. To get started, visit www.arthurstephen.com or call 0903 599 6606. Follow us on social media at ASAM Investment. ASAM eTrade is powered by Arthur Stephen Asset Management Limited, a member of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Arthur Stephen Asset Management Limited, succeeding together.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us once again. My name is Udwak, and I am the HR manager for Arthur Stephen Asset Management Limited. It's our November edition of our ASAM eTrade webinar, hosted by Arthur Stephen Asset Management Limited, your preferred stockbroker. Okay, so today's webinar is very, very interesting. And the topic is harnessing investment opportunities in unquoted shares and commodities. So we have people who will do justice to this topic actually. And thank God they are here already. Our speakers, our discussants are, seasoned men in the industry with decades of experience in the industry. And they're the ones that would take us through this this webinar actually. So I'll just give a brief introduction on the people you're going to listen to. We have Mr. Egwaride Longe, and he's the MD CEO of National Association of Securities Dealers, NASD. So Mr. Longe is an astute professional and a public administrator. He's really vast in this industry. NASD is a platform, an investment platform for trading on quoted shares, accessing crowdfunding, and raising growth capital among other products that they offer. So Mr. Longe, he has over 30 years, like so many decades in the industry of experience. So he will be doing justice to this for us. And he's also a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. So we also have a second person. Thank you. We have a second person, Mr. Akinshola Akeredoluale. So Mr. Akinshola Akeredoluale is also the Managing Director, CEO of Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange. He has so many years of experience too in the industry, an astute stockbroker. He's an authorized dealing clerk of the Nigerian Exchange Group Limited, formerly known as Nigerian Stock Exchange, and he's also a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers. So he's also here to help do justice to this topic for us. And as we progress, we would encourage you that you drop your questions in the chat box so that we can take them as we progress, and most likely after they must have spoken. So apart from these two discussants, We also have our own team lead in the house, team lead of the research department of Atos Stephen Asset Management Limited, in the person of Mr. Mayowa Bolujoko. So he will also join them too in talking. So before we start, or we continue rather, we would want to welcome the MD of Atos Stephen Asset Management Limited. He's actually the chief host of this webinar, to give us a welcome address in the person of Mr. Olatunde Amolegbe. Thank you, sir. You can give us our welcome address. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that brief introduction, Uduak. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you very much for that brief introduction.
Not clear.
Again, it's our pleasure to welcome you to this edition of our monthly webinar. You know, it's our hope that the efforts that we put in putting together these webinars are adding value to your investment process, and it's certainly our own pleasure to put them together and bring them to you. So we're quite glad that you could take time to come and join us today again. We because of the caliber of the guests we have today, we just have to kickstart this today's program in time, because of we have some high-powered special guests joining us today. We over 120 people have registered for this webinar, so we are sure that as we're going along, more people will join us, but we have to kickstart the process. Uduak have already introduced the people we have, joining us today, but I think I will be remiss if I don't speak a little bit more about them. Mr. Igoride Lunge is the Managing Director, CEO of NASD OTC Markets. It is one of the trading platforms similar to the Nigerian Stock Exchange that we're familiar with, but primarily deals in unquoted shares. It's an over-the-counter market, and I'm sure that by the time it starts to speak, we will see the caliber of person that we are privileged to have joined us today at this webinar. His experience, his knowledge, and his astuteness is impeccable. So by the time I won't hype him too much, so that by the time he starts speaking, we will see where I'm coming from. And also we have the Managing Director, CEO of the Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange, Mr. Akinyakere Duladle, joining us on this webinar today. Again, a very brilliant and astute analyst, stockbroker, investment manager, and he's been the pioneer managing director of that platform, and has taken that platform from one higher level to another higher level since inception. So we're quite lucky to have him here join us today. I won't take too much time. I will let's allow us to go straight into it. We will start with Mayowa setting the stage for us, talking about unquoted shares and commodities, and how we can use them to increase our investment horizon. And then from there, our special guest will make remarks, and then we'll get into the Q&A session of the presentation. Again, I welcome you all to this program, and I hope that at the end of it, we will all be glad that we took time to join. You are welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Olatunde Amolegbe, the MD CEO of Atos Steven Asset Management Limited. So the first person to give us his presentation is Mr. Mayowa Bolujoku, the head of research at Atos Steven Asset Management Limited. Thank you, Mayowa.
Thank you very much. May I confirm if you can see my slides?
Yes, please.
Once again, welcome to this month's webinar. And this month we'll be discussing investment opportunities in unquoted shares and commodities. If I was to put a question at everybody in this room to mention various investment securities, hardly will anybody mention unquoted shares, and just a few people remember commodities. However, these two alternative investments, non-traditional investments, offer huge diversification opportunities for investment portfolios, which we'll speak to in subsequent slides. Here is data showing how non-traditional investment securities have grown over time. We've actually selected MIT Endowment Fund, an institutional investor, to help us understand the growth of the non-traditional investment over time. In 1994, MIT allocated 0% to marketable alternatives. However, in 2004, they allocated 18.4% of their fund to marketable alternatives. Data source from Preqin shows that the alternative assets under management growth was as high as $17.2 trillion in 2025. This is a whopping 9.8% compounded annual growth rate. If institutional investors are actually looking towards non-traditional investments, then retail investors such as yourself should be looking towards this area also. Identify that unquoted shares and commodities are two areas that most retail investors do not look towards. It is important for us to give a brief background as to what unquoted shares really are. As it is for understanding concepts, it is better for us to go from the known to the unknown. And we've decided to remind ourselves about quoted shares, which most investors are familiar with. Quoted shares are basically shares that are bought and sold on regulated exchanges. And examples of quoted shares, which most investors are familiar with, are MTN, Dangote, Zenith, and so on and so forth. As at the time of preparing this slide, there were 157 quoted stocks on the Nigerian Exchange Limited. If you wish to learn more about quoted shares, you can reach out to our research department. Having reminded everybody of what quoted shares are, we can now delve into what unquoted shares are. Unquoted shares are basically shares traded over the counter. That is, the interplay of demand and supply is not relevant to determining the price of the commodity. What determines the price is basically negotiation between counterparties, that is, the buyer and the seller. There are various reasons for unquoted shares, some of which have been listed on the slide. So I would just like to talk to just one of the reasons. One of the reasons for unquoted shares is the listing of the company from the regulated regulated exchange. But this delisting might be voluntary, as is the company has decided to get delisted. Involuntary, because the company has not met regulatory requirements by the stock exchange. Like I said earlier, quoted securities have various benefits, and some of the benefits include risk diversification and as well as low volatility due to the low volume of public free float. Some of the inherent disadvantage or perceived disadvantage of unquoted shares include downside potential, and this obviously is also so identifiable too.
We didn't have to come today. Oh.
Hello, please. Background noise, please. Okay, yes, I can proceed. So some of the perceived disadvantages of unquoted shares include downside potential. And obviously, this might seem like a disadvantage, but it's also applicable to quoted shares also. Quoted shares usually have downside potentials also. Having established a brief background about unquoted shares, then comes the question: where can unquoted shares be traded? The NSD is a platform where unquoted shares are traded. However, the NSD has grown into a one-stop investment platform, a platform where companies can get visibility for their stocks, where investors can provide with liquidity, as well as companies raising funds. All of this will be spoken to subsequently by the managing director. A brief statistics about the NSD shows that market capitalization as at the 11th of November 2022 was now over 900 billion. And as at that date, total year-to-date traded volume was around 27.337 billion, while the NSD has nine sectors and 40 admitted stocks. Right now, I'm sure you might be wondering what are some of the stocks that I can own through the NSD. Here are a few stocks that I can own through the NSD. Dufil Foods, which is the producer of which produces Indomie. Friesland Campaign, producers of Peak Milk. We also have 11 PLC, formerly Mobile Nigerian PLC. We have Food Concept, the parent company of Chicken Republic, and we also have Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC, an oil exploration and production company. I'll leave you a few moments to resonate with some of the listed stocks on the NASD. Now that we've mentioned some of the listed stocks which you might be interested and in our opinion, we believe is why investing in. It's important to just review a few performance metrics between 2020 and 2021. Because of time, I will just talk to the revenue. On this slide, I've selected Friesland Campina, Food Concepts, and MC Nichols. Friesland Campina and Food Concepts are both on the NASD, while MC Nichols is quoted on the Nigerian Exchange Limited. Between 2020 and 2021, we saw Friesland Campina grow revenue by 35%, while Food Concept grew revenue by over 100%, and MC Nichols grew revenue by less than 10%. For the purpose of time, I will leave you to analyze this when you have access to the slides. Having discussed all we've discussed concerning unquoted shares, it's important for us to remind ourselves of salient points mentioned previously. One of these is that unquoted stocks are traded on OTC basis. Another summary is that unquoted stocks have huge downside potential as well as huge upside potential. And if you must invest in unquoted stocks, you need to. The good news for you is that Stephen is experienced at unquoted shares. Now that we are through with, I've been able to give a little background as to what unquoted shares are. We can now move on to commodities. Commodities are basically primary products. That is products that are in their natural states. And some of our commodities usually share certain characteristics, but on this slide I've listed a few characteristics. One of the characteristics is that commodities are usually limited in supply due to the fact of uneven distribution of natural resources globally. Other characteristics of commodities include high price volatility, uniformity, and fungibility. When I'm talking about commodities, I mean paddy rice, wheat, copper. To understand the commodities market, it is good for us to go down memory lane. And on this slide, we've been able to analyze we've been able to explain how the commodities market has evolved over time. Commodities market is said to have started in Japan with the establishment of rice futures. The rice produced by farmers were actually warehoused and receipted, which was traded among members of the community afterwards. The first formalized exchange was established in the United States, the establishment of the Chicago Board of Trade in 1848. As of 2019, we've seen the commodities market grow to $4,091 billion US. and is expected to grow at a compounded annual growth rate of 5.7% between 2021 and 2026. Interestingly, there are 10 commodities exchanges in the United States, and 120 countries across the globe have one commodity exchange or the other. A good example is Nigeria. Nigeria currently has 3 commodities exchange, which we speak to in subsequent slides. Commodities can actually be classified from 2 broad categories based on the hardness of the commodity and based on the hardness of commodity and based on passive categories. Based on the hardness of commodities, we have hard commodities and soft commodities. Hard commodities include gold, oil, and copper, while soft commodities include coffee, wheat, and so on. Based on the passive categories, we have commodities classified as agriculture, base metals, precious metal, and energy. If right now you have developed interest in the commodities market, then you'll be one of these 3 participants in the market. The first participant in the commodities market are arbitrageurs. Arbitrageurs are investors who try to explore inefficiencies in the market in order to profit. The other category of investors are speculators who take positions in order to benefit from positive price movements. And finally, we have the hedgers. Hedgers are investors who try to manage risk. An example of some of the risks that hedgers usually manage is price fluctuation in the price of commodities. There are various advantages or benefits of the commodities market, and some of which include diversification. Like I said earlier, commodities and by and large unquoted shares are described as lowly correlated with traditional investments such as equities and securities. Another advantage is that there's protection against inflationary pressure. I'll leave you for a few moments to resonate with these slides before I move on. Now that we've established a brief background into what commodities are all about, it is important to turn to the exchanges where commodities can be traded in Nigeria. Like I said earlier, there are 3 commodities exchanges in Nigeria, and one of the pioneering commodities exchange in Nigeria is the Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange. Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange was established in 2015, and the exchange got its operating license in 2019 from the Securities and Exchange Commission, the apex regulatory body of capital markets in Nigeria. Currently, the LCFE has 4 asset classes, basically, which are agriculture, oil and gas, solid minerals, and currencies. Here's a brief statistics about the LCFE. Like I said earlier, the LCFE has 4 asset classes, and the agricultural asset class has the highest number of commodities, which 45. Solid minerals has 19, oil and gas has 12, currencies has 25, and interestingly, there are commodities-backed debt instruments, which are. If you have been paying attention to the news, you must have heard of the launch of the Eco Gold Coin. The Eco Gold Coin provides an alternative investment vehicle for investors to invest in, which I'm sure the MD of LCFE will speak to in his address. Yeah, just a few summary about the Eco Gold Coin. The Eco Gold Coin weighs 50 grams, and one Eco Gold Coin cost about 2.29 million as at the time of sourcing this data. As of last week, the total volume traded on Eco Gold Coin was around 170 grams. With this brief introduction to unquoted shares and commodities, I hope I've been able to provide a basic understanding about these 2 broad areas. Thank you for listening. If you wish to learn more about unquoted shares and commodities, you can reach out to us via these channels displayed on the screen. Once again, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayowa Bolujoko, for that introduction into the topic. And without wasting much of our time, we'll just invite our first discussant, Mr. Egwarede Longe, the MD, CEO of NASD, to also do justice to the topic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I hope audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Am I unable to share any slides?
Yes, you are, sir.
Let me see. Okay. Okay, just a minute. I'll do that in good time. Okay, thank you. My name is Gwahide Longe. People always struggle with my first name, but my name remains my name. It means our castle shall never fall. So you really can't find a short form. So I'm always very worried when I'm hyped on a webinar and I haven't spoken because that puts me under tremendous pressure, you know. But I think that Maiwa has done a good job of speaking about NESD. So I'll just try and enhance a little bit of what it said, show you some details behind NESD, and perhaps speak about where NESD really could be, where we're going, and some of the new things that we're trying to do. Not anything heavy or lengthy, but I think you would gain a bit from it, and you can, when we interact on the questions and answers, we can delve in a little more. So I'll just share, I'll share some slides with you. I think that's the one. Please let me know if you can see the slides. Can you see the slides?
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes, we
Okay.
can.
Okay, so I'll just start by speaking about what we've done on NESD. NESD started as it is an OTC market, over the counter. It started in response to, well, there was the formation of NESD formerly with the CAC. It was incorporated by some stockbrokers, dealers on the market, who looked to trade companies that were not listed, and they did that from a peer-to-peer perspective, you know. But I think sometime in after 2008, there was a move to formalize the market. After 2008, because that was when the financial markets crashed, there were a lot of public offers in the heightened craze of market activity, margin trading at the time, where so many companies did initiate IPOs, you know, and some of those IPOs, as you know, the trading process used to be, they were awaiting certificates for an extended length of time, and those shares got caught up in the crash of the market, you know. So some of those shares were in the wings and they couldn't trade. And so when NESD was licensed really primarily to get some of those companies traded on a licensed and organized market in a structured way. So really, we've evolved as an equity trading platform that initiates trades on listed securities. But I don't think that's where we want to stay. We have fulfilled that purpose, and a few of those companies have come and been admitted onto our platform, and some of them have gone, some of them have shut down, you know, but some of them remain. So this slide just shows you what we've done in 2022. We've done about 27.5 billion in value, which is not a lot, you know, but we will get into the discussion of that. And these are the companies that have traded in that period with the values that you see on the right. So there's CSCS, its sector is the Depository and Clearinghouse. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. CSCS is admitted to our market. There's VFD Financial Services, It's an asset man. It's a financial, you might call financial supermarket to a certain degree. It does a little bit of this and that. I mean, it's a group. It invests in asset management, securities trading, corporate, investment banking. You know, so that's the kind of company that VFD is. It also does other things, mostly real estate investing. VFD has traded over 7 billion on our market this year. Of course, Friesland Campina, which you would recognize as WAMCO. WAMCO is probably the company that WAMCO and the next company, Niger Delta, are the two companies that people most associate with the NESD. But as you can see, they're not we've done higher volumes in other companies than in WAMCO. So you see there's those values there. Same thing as Niger Delta. Niger Delta is what you might call an indigenous exploration and production company. AG Merchant Bank, that figure you see with AG Merchant Bank is a typical OTC market transaction where shareholders decide that, I mean, if shareholders decide to trade their shares, if shares are going to change hands, they have to be done, those trades have to be done on a regulated market, which is the law. And so the ownership of AG Merchant Bank, that's supposed to be AG Mortgage Bank. AG Mortgage Bank changed hands sometime in the year, and that's why you have that volume. Of course, we're listed on our market as well. We think we're a fintech company. We've done 500 million. There's a company called City Trust, which was listed in July, I believe it was, and it's done this much. It's an asset management company. It does have some companies that are securities, stockbroking firms. It is a stockbroking firm that is attached to, that is a member of the City Trust Group. NMRC, Nigeria Mortgage Refinance Company, you can see what it's done. Food Concepts, I think Maiwa mentioned that. Double One PLC, delisted from NGX onto our market. NIPCO, related to Double One PLC, also an oil and gas company. Capital Banco, as you can see. FAMAD, another OTC transaction. I think that the companies underneath that will be UBN Properties and Lighthouse PLC. So those are the companies that have traded on our market this year. There are other companies listed. So we have 40 securities listed. We have 152 institutions that are participants on our market. Our capitalization is 935 billion. I mean, I think it has receded from 1 trillion that it was at the beginning of the year because of the way the economy has played and people wanting to do more fixed income securities, take profits, but I think it will bounce right back. So that's where we are today, but that's not where we want to be. So the next slide shows how we see ourselves going forward. I mean, and it speaks about a strategic thrust. So our strategic thrust, a medium to long-term plan vision, is based on attracting new listings through our sector focus and initiatives. We're focused on a few sectors which we think that we can drive. Housing and mortgage is one of the sectors that we're interested in. We're interested in logistics. We're interested in logistics, I mean, transportation logistics, both for passenger commutes and for cargo. I think that the commodities exchange people will also speak about what transportation logistics does for their business in facilitating the commodities trade. That's one of the areas that we're looking to build build specialism. There's also a very fragmented and I would say difficult to resource sector. I mean, and that for us is an interesting sector. We're doing a lot of work to see how we organize and curate content in that sector, and that's the entertainment and creatives sector. So when we see the brilliant things that Nigerian artists are doing all over the world, it is a sector that definitely we need to curate, value, and begin to see how the revenues are can be organized in such a way that Nigerians can participate in the renown that the Nigerian entertainment sector has built in all the sectors, in music, in film production. I mean, you see what our movies are doing on streaming stations. So that's a sector we're interested in. Let me not bore you too much, but just to drop one sector that is extremely ambitious, but we are very motivated to resource that sector. It's not a sector that you stroll into, it's a sector that you actually have to think about and do considerable research on and see how you generate value there. And that's the automotive sector. How can we build cars in this country? We have a car manufacturing company in Nnewi, Anambra State. And our thinking is that we can weave a lot of value around that company. And we're already in discussions to do that. But I don't think that there's enough time to speak about that, just to introduce you to where our minds are going. So we think that an OTC alternative asset platform like ours can generate value in such areas, and we will discover and unbundle value for in a new investor category in those sectors that we've spoken about and other sectors that we find of tremendous value. We will be looking at expanded market breadth by working on our primary market platform, which you see somewhat below. It is for the micro, small, and medium enterprises. We think we need to build companies and revolve them onto our main market. We're also interested in crowdfunding, but our platform is a donor crowdfunding platform rather than investor crowdfunding because of the negative experiences that we've seen on the investor side. Donor crowdfunding does not require the pressure that investor crowdfunding seems to generate. So that's what we're focused on. There's also digital securities. Watch this space, you see something evolve around that area. And there are quite a number of other things that we have in the pipeline, especially on the infrastructure side. So we're looking to build strategic partnerships with relevant organizations. So our vision is powered by a strengthened legal framework, efficient operational systems, innovation, and of course, technology. And these are you just see some of the sectors that we spoke about. I didn't mention the energy side, but I spoke about infrastructure, agri, more from the processing and logistics side, housing and mortgage, arts and entertainment. And of course, we spoke about the digital side, fintech. And of course, also on the infrastructure side, public-private partnerships. So NESD is actually looking to project itself as the foremost alternative asset exchange in Nigeria. And when we think about alternative assets, we realize that it covers quite a broad area. We're trying to depart from being known as an equity exchange, and because the companies that we begin to come in contact with are looking for funding and fund arrangements of different sorts other than equity. Some are looking for debt, some are looking for private equity, some are looking for quasi-debt, mezzanine finance, and things like that. So it's I think we need to we've thought that we need to define our value proposition a lot better, and so we think that what represents what we do is to caption it as an alternative asset exchange, and we'll see a little bit more of that as the days and months go by. Now there's this platform, the enterprise portal, which is one that we really are pushing. We know that there are quite a number of small companies that are shy of going to the big exchanges, but they find a home with us because the analogy I normally give is that the big exchanges are flying 34,000 feet above sea level. We are flying with a helicopter, so we can see the nuances a lot better, and we know what they need. We can speak with them. We have the experience to help them build their businesses unlock tremendous growth and value, which we can bring to investors. As Mayowa said, our offering is counter-cyclical to the the more established markets. So that's what we see from the enterprise portal. And we've seen some very interesting companies come through from the sectors that we've spoken about and otherwise. I mean, there have been some fintech companies come through. There have been logistics companies, mostly transports, passenger transports. There have been agricultural type ventures come through, and a few others. So the enterprise portal is actually supposed to be an automated marketplace where MSMEs can load their information, get a due diligence advisor, prepare an information memorandum, and then showcase this to potential investors. That's a portal that we're actually pushing quite aggressively now. I mentioned about the donor crowdfunding platform, and that's on VentureRamp. I mean, there's a lot of work being done here, and we're trying to enhance this. I think that's really the story of NESD. We're very ambitious. We're very hungry for progress. I mean, we think that we offer alternative investment opportunities for people who are looking to grow in a secured way. I think I'll stop there and deal with the rest in the question and answer period. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Lunge. That was very, very insightful. And the fact that you said that NASD is very ambitious, that's also something to look forward to. Thank you so much, sir. So our next discussant is Mr. Akinshola Akeredoluale, the MD CEO of LCFE, the Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange. So he will also give us his own remark on the topic we are discussing. And please just keep the questions coming. We can see that so many questions have already started coming into the chat box. Please keep the questions coming. Thank you. Mr. Akeredoluale, please, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, everybody. I want to keep to the established protocol. My kind regards to everybody that's here today, to the MD of Arthur Stevens, my past president, Mr. Tundamola Lebron, our guy in the house, Mr. Gwahidi, don't get there, and for participants here today. I'm very happy that we have started with the OTC markets. And also there was a very, very good highlight on the equities market by the research analysts that have then delved into it. Also, I want to thank the research analysts that you took time to go and look at the data in the gold space, and you discussed them the data in the gold space. But I would like to set the tone for this conversation. First of all, I'm sure I will share my slides subsequently with everybody. By looking at the definition of a commodities exchange, it is very important that we know the difference between commodities exchange and a commodities trader. The Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange is a commodities exchange. We are not commodities traders. The difference between a commodity trader and a commodities exchange is that a commodity trader invests in warehouses, leases warehouses, builds warehouses, buys commodities into those warehouses, and aggregates them and starts selling to other people. That is a commodity trader. You don't need a SEC license to do that. A commodities exchange is a legal entity that determines and enforces rules and procedures for trading, standardized commodity contracts, and related investment products. The commodities exchange also refers to the physical center where the trading takes place. That's where the electronic trading takes. For you to do those trades, you have to be able to trade through a dealing member firm. You have to be able to trade to a commodity broker. You have to go through the process of trading on the exchange. It will settle through NIPS. through CSS, the depository, into your various accounts via what we call direct card settlement into the client's account. Effectively, the little change from equities is basically the asset itself that we're discussing that's been traded in a structured way. The Nigerian commodity market, in comparison with international counterparts, in sincerity, is a greenfield and has a potential of a market of about $1 trillion. We are referred to as the garden of the world, where all the things that needs to feed the world, a lot of them, people coming to Africa to take this and take it to the bigger world. So it is important to note that, like a stock exchange, commodities determines and enforces rules and procedures for trading. The commodities exchange is also instrumental to being the bridge between the capital markets and the commodities ecosystem by creating standardized instruments, fair and transparent opportunities for people to trade, to raise capital. This will aid commodities trading. Those are things that I want us to know, so that people will understand that when I see people saying that some people have 100 trucks of cocoa and they want to sell. Yes, you can sell 100 trucks of, but first of all, you must create the instruments that will be tradable on the exchange. Not that you bring the cocoa to us and we start buying and selling. Those are my initial thoughts. On the second slide, which is we go straight to, please move to the third slide. Now, what do we do at the commodities exchange before we go into the real aspect? The major one is price discovery and transparency. The biggest problem for commodities in Nigeria is that there are various prices everywhere, and there are no clear-cut prices. There is no transparency in the price discovery. So the farmers that produce, people that aggregate, at the end of the day, always hold a short end of the stick. And at the end of the day, at the next season, they will not be able to come back and trade the commodities ecosystem because there's no transparent price discovery. But now that there's a commodities exchange, there's transparent price discovery. There is standardization. There's quality control in what comes and is traded on the exchange. And then also for people that have been in that particular space for a long time, that want to grow, that have not been able to expand their participation in the commodities trade, and also create capital raise, wealth creation via the commodities exchanges. Now, whilst you are doing that, the exchange will be assisting you to be able to access competitive markets and also create what we call price risk management for you, so that you'll be able to bring the right things to the markets, be able to trade. Effectively, we are creating the rules, we are enforcing the rules, and we are guiding people with the rules. Where do we get these rules from? They are given to us by the Securities and Exchange. The Commission has approved the rules that governs working of a commodities ecosystem, like any other exchange. Now, I would like to first of all correct something. People believe that the moment you hear about commodities, it's about agriculture, you know. No, commodities is not about agriculture. Commodities goes into solid metals, it goes into crude oil, goes into gas, goes into so many other things apart from the agri space. But one of the things that we have done is we have redefined what the commodities is supposed to be anyway. It's not about agriculture alone. Agriculture plays a major role in that. As I move on in my conversation, I'll move it closer to how we've been able to work on creating retail markets whereby regular investors can participate there, and also on each organization, I can buy in smaller bits. Now, what are the advantages of the commodities market? In my next slide, the advantages. The major one is our contribution to the GDP. We might not know, but and I didn't know in the last 8-9 months that a lot of the wealthiest set of Nigerians are actually not in Lagos. By the time you get to the north, you get to Akure, get to Ilesha, get to Kwara, you will stumble on people that are referred to now as cocoa merchants. They are now in Nigeria. We have sesame merchants. We have soybean merchants. We have maize merchants. And these people are controlling billions. And of recent, they've started even controlling our FX inflows and outflows in Nigeria, because they are one of the major earners of FX to the Nigerian economy by way of their contribution to the GDP. We were in Benin during the CIS last conference, and some of us were opportune to have visited Presco, and we saw what was there in Presco. Presco is a commodities company that's listed on NGX. They're into oil palm and palm oil. Go and look at the NGX listings of on their bourse. Every company that is listed and is related to commodities are doing very, very well. From Okomo Oil, go and look at the prices. To Presco, look at the price. Even the livestock feeds, look at the prices of them. Anything that's having anything to do with commodities is doing very well in Nigeria, because Nigeria is a commodity country. Now, what are the things that we need to do? We brought in standardization, which is approved always by SEC. That is the specification of whatever is going to be traded. Now, as brokers, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to issue what we call the commodity contracts. Issue them, and they are regulated. You'll be able to access pension fund participation. You'll be able to create exchange-traded instruments, and the capital market will be able to participate in the commodity space. I was with a young man yesterday, and I can say it out anyway. Young man yesterday, 36-year-old boy, that is trading in cocoa in this country. And as I yesterday, he sold $5 million to someone, purely from the proceeds of the sale of cocoa beans. And if you now go to people that are doing processed cocoa butter, cocoa powder, those ones are making multiples millions of dollars. So in the commodity space is a large space that investors can go into, any member firms can go into, brokers can participate effectively well. Now, for us to be able to do this, we don't want to do what we have been doing in the last 60 years. Just, I give you the money, I collect the needs. That is not what the global community has been doing in controlling the commodities space from all over the world. They buy commodities in Africa with instruments. We should come up with a position whereby we're able to do that. But what do we need to do? We need to, first of all, allow everybody to understand the spin-off effects of the commodities exchanges. And I'm happy that the Securities and Exchange Commission has approved exchanges to participate in this ecosystem. The first thing is wealth creation. There are so many youngsters that are into the commodities. They are making more money than us. Some of them are just selling simple things as small as shea butter, and they're exporting shea butter. Simple things as light as soya bean, and they're aggregating them and they're selling them. Sesame is wanted all over the world. So we need to start looking at how do we participate. And for us, I'll show you that the SEC has approved for us to be able to do this. Next slide, please. The following approved products that can allow us to be able to go into the West African space and the African space for intra-African trade. SEC has approved for us paddy rice, soya beans, sesame, sorghum, cocoa, cashew, yellow maize, whole ginger, cassava, shea butter, palm kernel, dry ginger. All these things for the ones below, they are money spinners. I will take just one or two of them and speak to them for each to understand. Paddy rice. Paddy rice now at the point was trading at 280,000 per metric ton. About 2 weeks ago, it went all the way to 345,000 per metric ton. That means that people were making profit. This December that we're coming in, paddy rice will be used in rice in December. The annual consumption of rice in Nigeria, we have not been able to meet up. These are instruments that are tradable on the exchange. But the good thing is that the Lagos Commodity Futures Exchange is coming up very soon, in the next 2 weeks maximum, with the first exchange-traded instrument on rice, head rice, is forwards contract for rice, whereby you can invest in the forwards contract and take delivery mid-December to late December this year. A forward contract allows you to invest. The base price for rice, head rice, after being processed from paddy, comes out about 30 to 33,000 naira per bag. sale price of a 50 kilogram bag of rice now in the market is between 30,000 to 40,000 naira. So you'll understand the headroom in that space. But in Nigeria, for rice alone, we have only about 8-9 people that are trading in rice in Nigeria. And the whole of the capital markets, at least as the last week, yesterday, we are not participating in it fully. And that's one of the things that Lagos Commodities is trying to achieve. The other one that I'll pick on is the cashew. The cashew season is coming. 99% of it is going to be taken out by foreign nationals. And cashew is paid for in dollars. Same thing as cocoa powder and cocoa butter. We are going to arrange a visit to one of the cocoa processing companies in Nigeria for you to see real life cocoa butter. And they will tell you that as at 2 weeks ago, their turnover as a company, that's a company that is not in Lagos, had exceeded $100 million. That can be confirmed by banks. That is the info that they've been able to get for a company that's not in Lagos, that's in Ondo State in Akure. So you can understand the size of the commodity ecosystem and why we should participate in this field. And same goes for sorghum, shea butter, and all of them. But because of time, I'll just pick two of them, which I've spoken about. Now, what do we need to, what structures are we put in place that people need to understand? You know, for you to be able to participate effectively, well, we must create what we call the structures. We have created structures in there for people to be able to trade there. You can participate in the commodity aggregation. You can participate in logistics and heavy equipment. You can participate in the cold chain. You can participate in the seed production. You can participate in research and development. You can do agri production. You can do infrastructure development. You can do commodity processing. I'll pick two of them for you to understand and how people are making money. I'll pick, for example, the cold chain. A cold chain facility is a facility that is like a warehouse but school to protect investors that invest in maybe poultry and all that, for them to not to have what we call post-harvest losses. So when the poultry are called, they are kept in this cold chain, this cold room, which keeps them for people to be able to trade on. Big business. People are making millions from it in the borders of Nigeria and Republic of Benin. It's filled with cold chain facilities there, selling poultry, cold room poultry into Nigeria. Now I'll take another one. I'll take commodities processing and mills. We have all the commodities in Nigeria. We have not created instruments to be able to support this. The major part of commodity processing in Nigeria have been done by foreign nationals. And we all know that for every commodity that you have, if it's worth $1, the moment you process it to the next level, you discover that the same product will be worth almost about $25. So we need to look at this, and these are the structures that are there in the ecosystem. How do you do this? You can work in the commodity space to do the spot contracts. The spot is you buy what you see immediately and you take delivery. You can have the false contract, you buy now and collect at a later date. Very simple. Then we have the exchange traded notes and we have the exchange traded funds. Funds are the ones that will be for the cooperative, for people to participate in the bigger space. The definitions are there below, and I'll read it for records. Exchange traded notes are a type of unsecured debt security that tracks an underlying index of securities, particularly in the commodities. And the other one is the exchange traded fund. It's an investment fund that holds assets for commodities. This is when you now have the cooperatives that put together funds for people that cannot afford to participate at the big level. They'll be able to participate at the retail level there. All these are things that are tradable and can be worked on the Lagos Commodity Futures Exchange. Now, the major need on the next slide is that we have, the federal government has spoken about the need for us to diversify from the mono-income products. We have done that now. And that's why we launched the Eco Gold coin. And you know, at the beginning, when we launched the Eco Gold coin, I will tell you on a lighter note, when it was presented, my wife at home said that it wasn't true, that we could not get this gold coin in Nigeria. But this is gold from Nigeria. This is gold bullion from Nigeria. And this is real gold that we're looking at. It's real. It's real gold there. My wife did not believe, right? We have to take it to SEC, and they have to feel it and touch it. And they realized that it was real gold from Nigeria that's tradable in Nigeria. At the beginning, when we started trading the gold coin, a lot of people were sitting on the fence. They did not believe that they could buy it, they could invest in it. Some of them bought 1 gram, just 1 gram. But when they bought 1 gram and they went to the deposit CSS to go and print out the activity statement, and they saw that the gold that they but are settled there, and they saw the value. Some of them now sold back. You see whether they could sell to get liquidity. When they sold back and they got their money, they discovered that it was actually real for them to trade. And I'm not surprised, because one of the major gurus in the capital markets, when I met him and said that we had a gold coin, he said it was a lie. It was not from Nigeria. And where was it being stored? We have a storage facility. But in reality, this has come to stay. These are real gold coins and people are investing in it. When the price of the Naira was spiking, a lot of people started buying into this gold coin. We saw a spike. The price of the gold is an hedging instrument. It's an instrument that women love a lot, because we've seen more women buying this gold coin than the men. It's things that men can do and invest in. It's available, but the only thing is that for you to buy the gold coin, you have to go to your daily member firm, go to a broker. Like the equities, you have to buy to a broker. You place your order through your account, officer your broker. You register, you have your own CSS account number, you have your own clearinghouse account number, and you'll be able to trade on the gold in it. And if you decide also in the future that you want to collect your gold coin, you can go and collect the gold coin. The only thing is, if you collect the gold coin, you can't return it back, because we believe that if you collect it, you can bring a perfect replica back for storage there. So the qualities of gold are very, very clear there. It is a storage, it is a hedging instrument any day. It has outperformed any other investment in the last 40 years there. Now, for us at in LCF, the gold movement, you can compare. Look, let's go straight. We can compare with the gold. The LBMA that you see to the top right is called the London Bullion Market Association. That's the global space, the global prices for gold. Then you look at below to the left, you see the pricing on LCF, our own pricing for gold. Our price does not have to be in tandem with the global price at all, because our own country has its own peculiarities. But what you see is that there's a little differential in the pricing, because the global market will always affect the local markets. When we open the markets, then the initial opening price of 56,000 per gram, and immediately the international markets and the pressure in the international market adjusted the prices on our markets to about 45,000 thereabout per gram. And since then, it has been trading at that particular price for a while. The good thing about it is that it's a good store of value. So what it means is that it does not diminish in value. Inflation does not affect it in any way at all. And at the end of it, it mirrors the dollars. When you buy the gold, it's as good as buying dollars, because the currency on its own. And what you're buying is what we refer to, based on the approval of SEC, a 24-karat instrument there that you have, with the required smoothness, global standard smoothness there. You can buy up to small size, 1 gram, 2 gram. I can buy up to like 50 grams, which now qualifies you for coin. It's liquid, I can work on it. Now, when we talk about the commodities market and the gold market, it's just one part of the gold market. Nigeria has lithium, we have zinc, we have lead, we have so many other deposits in Nigeria. What we are just doing, we are focusing on one now as a low-hanging fruit. Subsequently, we'll start these other instruments on the exchange. Now, how do you invest? Like I mentioned earlier, you have to invest to register the daily member firm, and the daily member firm will open your account for you with a depository. And then one of our major transaction advisors for gold is GTI Capital. And also, I'm sure that we're also working with Arthur Stevens also, because they are also one of the daily member firms of the exchange that you can buy the gold coins. So for you to trade, you have to go to a daily member firm. Having said this, I'll just go straight lastly to picture that's been showcased there, that's been in my face. That was when the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Sanwo-Olu, came to launch the gold coin, gold coin. It was historic for him to have launched it, because on the gold coin itself has the Lekki Ikoyi Bridge and the 3 wise men. And those things mean a lot. A bridge means that a connection from the past into the future, from one location to the other. And what it means is that for our financial prosperity, it takes us to the future. And for you to be able to do this, on the other side of the coin means that you must be able to put in wisdom into buying gold. When you buy gold, it's wisdom. And when you have the three wise men standing there guiding you that you should be investing in gold, gold is a very good instrument. It's not about Nigeria. No. In the global space, gold is number one. The current situation between Ukraine and Russia, the stabilization that Russian economy is having now, is the deposits of gold that they have amassed over time before prosecuting the war. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the things that we're doing. One of our future transactions will be coming very soon in another 2 weeks is what I refer to as the fourth counter for the rice. That's the head rice from the paddy rice. We can participate in this space as brokers, we can participate as investors, and we can make money from this particular space. Thank you very much for listening to me from Lagos Commodities and Futures. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Akeredolu Ale, the MD of LCFE. He has told us that gold is a very, very important instrument, so we should invest in it, we should buy gold. And at the beginning, he also did justice in, telling us the difference between commodities exchange and commodities trader. So that is very, very important. Thank you so much, sir, for that. So we'll just dive into the question and answer session. We've been having some questions coming in the chat box already. So the first question someone sent to me, the person asked that how does crowdfunding work? So please, Mr. Longe, you will help us do justice to that question. The person asked, how does crowdfunding work? Thank you.
Okay, so the whole purpose of an exchange is actually mirrors the concept of crowdfunding. So people put money together to support a business idea. That's basically what crowdfunding is. These recent days, it has taken up a definition of its own because the technology has made it a little more, has facilitated the possibility of retailing the crowdfunding idea and actually democratizing it by bringing it to, I'd say, the informal sector. So just for purposes of description, I'm sure people around this webinar know about a crowdfunding platform called GoFundMe. GoFundMe is a donor crowdfunding platform, and you can use GoFundMe for practically anything. If you want to contribute to assisting someone who's ill that has very high hospital bills to pay. If you want to assist someone with school fees, various things. But you also know that crowdfunding has been applied in the agricultural sector, where some people who, ill-advised, have gone to meet local primary producers, and contracted with them to organize pipelining funding into their businesses with the promise to the investors that they will deliver a certain amount in return. Ill-advised because they don't understand the agricultural sector. They don't understand the agricultural business, so they've gone and promised what they can't deliver. Agri takes time to build. You listen to a lot of what Mr. Akeredolu had to say. Think about the effort it takes to put structure to these things. So that's the reason why NASD has moved away from investor crowdfunding to donor crowdfunding, because donor crowdfunding is actually putting money together to fund projects. And our crowdfunding initiative came about with after the NSAS period, when the Lagos state government, through some of its officials, had contacted us to see whether we could lend a platform to the Rebuild Lagos project. So that's what we wanted to do, but we didn't really take that forward. But we realized that there's a lot that can be done. Universities and university endowments can be done through a crowdfunding platform. So essentially, you put up the technology that is able to accumulate the money, you describe the project, and people are able to pipeline funding through the technology platform that you put, believe in the project, and then you give reports as to what you've done. There's a crowdfunding regulation as issued by the Securities and Exchange Commission, and I think it restricts the amount that you can raise to 100 million naira and the other provisions therein. And that's what I'll say about crowdfunding now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. So our next question is from Mr. Zara Dogo, and he asked, what avenues are available for investors to investors commodities through? Also, if it's, I think he said also, if it's, I can't see this last part, but anyways, he's asking that what avenues are available for investors to investors commodities through? And also, if it's through exchanges, are exchanges liquid enough? He's asking if exchanges are liquid enough. Please, any of our discussants? Hello?
Hello. I think that's directed to Mr. Keridolu Ali. I'm not a commodities broker. I'm not a commodities expert. So,
yeah, Mr. Keridolu Ali, please help us with that. Thank you.
I have to always defer to Alonga anyway. Thank you, Maga. Now, can you take the question again?
Okay, what avenues are available for
the question so that I can
Okay, what avenues are available for investors to investors commodities through? Also, if it's true, an exchange, are these exchanges liquid enough?
Okay, the avenues have been explained. You want to invest in any through any exchange, not in any exchange, through any exchange. That means you want to buy something. You go to the dealing member firms, and you go to your broker, and your broker will execute a trade for you on the exchange. Now, what do you mean by liquidity? For liquidity comes in two parts by way of definition. Liquidity can be being able to exit the markets. Are there people that will buy off you when you want to sell? And liquidity can also be availability of a product also when people want to buy. Is it liquid enough? Is it available there? By way of liquidity, if you want to exit the market, yes, there's liquidity because most of these commodity contracts, before you even list them on the exchange, by the time you're doing the documentation, the offtake agreements will have been done. Because there's always an end picture in mind of people that want to buy. Apart from that, for Nigeria as we speak now, we cannot even meet up with the requirements for Nigeria. Nigeria is still subsidizing commodities that we are consuming in Nigeria by way of import. So yes, the markets are liquid for the ones that were for gold, yes, it's liquid enough. For rice, head rice, very, very liquid. For cashew nuts, yes. And then those are the ones that have been traded on LCF. But I can tell you that for the other ones, the liquidity is actually very, very high. From sorghum to maize, Nigeria cannot meet up with hands. And then, like I mentioned earlier, for people that went to Presco in Benin, I saw with my eyes a 2 mile queue, 2 mile queue of trucks that were queuing to find palm oil from Presco. Effectively, there's always a liquidity demand. The difference is that instead of paying over the counter to Presco, you're buying the same thing from an exchange. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. The next question is from Mr. MB Mai, and he's asking, I have invested in the shares of Big Treat PLC when it was traded on the stock exchange. However, for some years now, the company has delisted. What do I have to do if I want to sell the stock?
Okay, Udo, I believe I've answered that question previously.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody is sure of what the fate of Big Treat is at the moment. Nobody is sure whether the company has been liquidated or not. So we're going to have to just wait and see whether further information will come forward regarding that at a later date.
Okay.
So I have a
Thank you,
question here.
sir.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Okay. So,
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Okay, I have a question. Yeah. My question goes like this. No, the regulators of this market, the SEC and the other operators, yeah, they are busy kind of introducing new products for investing public. And don't forget that wealth creation is about education and taking action. And these numbers of new products are on an increase, but they've not done education for investors. I'm happy that Arthur Stephen is doing this today to educate the public about different windows to make money. But I want NSD and the commodity market to do more on education. How can we take this you are doing here to the public so that we can attract more Nigerians to invest wisely in these windows, not only depending on either on bond or equity alone, because this will help them to create that weight that the stock market or the whole window provide. But I'll tell you, more players are in equity market and bond, but NSD and the commodity market, they are very few because no knowledge, no understanding. What are they doing to bring that knowledge to the public? That's my question.
Thank you for that, Ambrose. Thank you for that question. Well, I think we'll let Mr. Longe go first, and followed by Mr. Akredolo. I hope the question is clear.
Yeah, I mean, investor education. I mean, I think we engage in that. We engage in that periodically. I take your point. It has to be more intensified. We will get around to doing that. I mean, what we have done mostly is to deal with focus groups for investor education. But we take the point that there has to be, in fact, it's not really just investor education. There's also creating awareness of what we do. What do we stand for? So that's one of the focal points of NESD's development, and I think you'll see a lot more of that. Not a lot more, it's going to be significantly intensified. Because I will tell you an interesting inquiry I had sometime. Somebody asked us whether NESD is a stockbroking firm, so that just shows you that many people are not aware of what we do, and the onus is on us to resolve that. I mean, we're going to do a lot more of that, and you'd see that happening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akredolo.
Thank you, and thank you very much, President. Yes, even this conversation that we're having today is supposed to be part of the awareness program and an investor education. But like I mentioned at the beginning, we are talking about a green field in Nigeria that's not green to some people. And unfortunately, the people that it's not green to are not Nigerians. So we're also building up, ramping up on the issue of financial inclusion, because access to the investors is very critical. The retail investors, for them to be able to invest in small and bits and pieces. And for us to demystify the fact that for you to be an investor, you have to be a sophisticated person. Anybody can and should be able to invest. By doing that, we're working with the Financial Literacy Committee of the Securities and Exchange Mission, and we're making sure that we're creating them awareness in that space. But I'll tell you something, that also as we're doing this, and we're trying to look at how do we participate. Parts of Nigeria have moved ahead. For people that have spoken Yoruba before, I'll try and translate it to English. In those days, when you become very wealthy, they will say that your owo koko has come. That means your money from cocoa has come. That's what we're using the big. People are actually trading in cocoa now and making a lot of money from it. Now, how do you participate in this? What we have done is that go to your broker, take your request, aggregated requests, creates products. When it creates products, it creates opportunities for you to come and participate. So we're doing the financial inclusion. We're working with SEC, we're working with the ecosystem, we're working with the fintechs, and then we're also working with the social media to make sure that everybody is being kept in this space. And we have this generational issue also. That is what we've been compartmentalized into the Generation X, Generation Z, the millennials and all that have different mindsets to investment. Some of them are into cryptocurrency. Some of them are trying to do crowdfunding. Some are impatient investors. Some can't do the collective investment schemes that are very structured. But the Securities and Exchange Commission has made it very clear that the sanitization of the ecosystem to make sure that investors and the coming are protected and they can buy the right things that are structured and are according to the rules of the commission are very, very critical. So as we are doing the education for them to understand, we're also educating them on where not to go to so that they do not lose their investments. Thank you.
All right. While we still have you, Mr. Akredola, there's a question on the platform from, and I think it fits directly the issue of education and limited knowledge about what you do. He says, what is the future of gold in Nigeria? He says its investment in Japan Gold, which is quoted on the NGX, is currently underperforming. What does it do? You know, and does it sell off or does it hold? Right? I mean, there's a bit of confusion there, but I think it provides an opportunity to provide a bit more enlightenment as to how the gold you trade is different from the Japan gold that the gentleman is referring to. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. First of all, what is the future of gold? I will start from, if you're a wise man, you determine, you look back on what have been the past history of anything. Gold in the last 60 years has been consistent, has consistently been growing, and gold has outperformed every other market. And guess what? Gold is gold. Gold is gold anywhere in the world. It is the same metal. It's gold. And the moment it is 24 carats gold, it is gold to that level. Anywhere you have gold, you always get the same value. It's a store of value. At the point in Nigeria, even the ones that were not in bullion form, in coins form, our great-grandmothers and grandmothers used to keep them in form of jewelry, bangles, and all that. And when they need money, they take it to certain places. They use it to borrow money, and people give them money the same day, same time against it. And in some days, in those days, even when they even want to sell, they just put it on a scale for them and they get value immediately. Effectively, the future of gold in Nigeria is the fact that they're going to be buying more gold. People will be able to keep gold as an investment, not only as an ornament of gold. Now, for the question in Japan, because I'm an exchange, I will not dive into details of an instrument that's listed on another exchange. But I'd like to explain something to you. When you buy gold on the commodities exchange, you are buying into the gold as an asset itself. It's different from when you're buying into the company. Excellent. When you buy into Japan, you bought into the company. But when you buy gold, it's the real gold that you have bought. You can always take delivery of your gold anytime and keep it. So gold is gold. Now, whether you want to sell or you want to keep, it's a different issue entirely. Now, if I wear my cap as a stockbroker, I will tell you easily that for you to decide where you want to sell or buy anything, you look at the company's financials, if it's the equities market, look at their past 2-3 years performance, you look at their dividend payout, you look at the yields and all that, and you make a decision. And there's a caveat for every investor in Nigeria that they put that if you don't understand what you're doing, they say you should what? Consult your stockbroker. So what I'll tell you is that before you make any decision, Consult your stockbroker. They will be able to give you a guide, be able to make an informed decision. Thank you, my president.
Thank you very much. Mr. Modeyi, I saw your hands raised. You have a question?
Yes. Thank you very much, President. Thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. A lot of things have been added to knowledge listening to the two facilitators or speakers. More particular question I have is on this commodity exchange. I have a lot of experience in the physical trading of cocoa and cashew nuts. That was the trade my dad used to do, and that's how I was trading. So the physical trading, buying and selling, how does it work on an exchange? Because most of these products have limited shelf life. How do we store them? Cocoa can hardly stay for maybe 2 seasons, 2 years. Ditto cashew nuts. So if I want to trade it on the exchange, or if I'm a buyer now, how do I bring it to the exchange so that people can trade on it? I don't understand how it works. Or is it only gold that is currently being traded on this commodity exchange presently? I need more information, please. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the question. And first of all, there was a program that we went for with NASA. That's the NIRSA, and they spoke about we moving from agriculture to agribusiness. Agriculture is a little bit different from agribusiness. Agriculture is more like subsistence and farming. Agribusiness is when you're looking at it from a business point of view. Now, if you want to do agribusiness, and then maybe your produce at the end of the day that you get from your farm is about 10 bags of cocoa, for example, or maybe 10 bags of cashew nuts. What it means is that you have to first of all take it to an aggregator. An aggregator are the people that are going to buy it off, so that when it gets to about maybe like 100 bags or more, or 200 bags, it will be possible for them to put it in a warehouse whereby it can be sold in bulk, so that nobody will be buying 1 or 2 bags of at any point in time. But the major problem that has been resolved is what I discussed earlier, the issue of price and discovery and transparency. For you to be able to get the right price, first of all, you will see the right price from the exchange and how much you're able to sell. The second issue has to do with specification and certification and the quality. For example, for cocoa, there's an approved quality of cocoa by way of standards that has been given to the exchange that I can use in trading, and the size by the commission. There's an approved size also, which is called the KR for cashew. So you can't come up with that. You want to sell cashew, and the cashews are broken into piecemeal, and you want to sell them, you'll not get the same value. If you have cocoa and the cocoa beans are tiny and they are not the right size, they will not qualify. That's why a lot of Nigerians burn their fingers in the past trying to export, because it will be returned back. Then the other part of it is that the certification agents, they are saying agents, they'll determine the quality, look at the right quality before they accept it in the warehouse. Because when they accept it in the warehouse, then there will be a cover from insurance company to say, this is the right quality, can be traded on the exchange. Now, if you want to do that, what you will do is, there are 2 ways. There was a slide I presented earlier. Is either you want to be a processor, or you want to be an aggregator, you want to be aggregating it, or you want to just move it as the logistics space. There's a lot of aspects into the commodity processing that I can play in. Now, let me just take one down. Let me assume that you want to sell alone. Is either you are selling to an aggregator, or you create your own aggregating point whereby you aggregate, and when you aggregate with the right quality, then you'll be able to create an instrument on it that we will be able to trade on the exchange. Now, how do you do that? There are about 4 different types of warehouses. The first set of warehouse are the ones that are called go-down warehouses. The go-down warehouses are the ones that you see on the road from Ekpe to Ibadan, Ilesha, everywhere, all the small size warehouses. They are not the standard warehouses. Then from the go-down warehouses, when you aggregate in small sizes, which of course, you can't determine the humidity, the aeration of the place, the ventilation, pest control, you can't do it there. Then you move it to the normal warehouses, which is regular warehouse. When you get there, that's where they aggregate. They'll now take it to a multimodal warehouse, which can be standardized. That's when the quality is determined by the institutions like Contecna, SGS, Bureau, and Co. If the quality is not determined properly, we will not be able to give assurance to the buyers that what they are buying is the right quality. So effectively, you can be in that space of aggregation. You can speak to cooperatives that come together to form a group to build a large economy of scale. But in real sense, if you want to start, for any product that you want to go into, whether cashew or cocoa, there are existing cooperatives in every nook and corner in Nigeria they can partner with, except you now have capacity to aggregate maybe like 10 tons, 100 tons, and trailers. Then if you have that, you can come directly to the exchange and list your products, and they'll be bought. From cocoa, if it's cocoa, I can give you assurance that any amount of cocoa that you bring to the right quality will give you a location to deliver it in Akure. We'll give you another location to deliver at Alausa, whereby the aggregator will take it off you. You get your money before it comes to the listed on the exchange. And if it's cashew, if it's coming from a Ogbomoso level, that's the quality. Immediately we know that that is the POR is the normal standard. You'll be able to do that also. So effectively, the major issue is complying to standards, which is what we're doing. And at the same time, we will make sure that you get the right pricing for your goods. Nobody will cheat you. And you need to speak to your brokers. If you speak to any of the dealing member firms, they will bring you, they will handhold you to the exchange. And if you now decide that, okay, you know what, I want to play big, I want to list my own company as an aggregator on the commodity exchange, we will happily welcome you for listing on the exchange. We'll handhold you and we'll support you, and also give you guides to settlement banks that can support the growth of your company. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate this. But one last thing, sir. You know, quality depends on the environment too. Like in Kogi State, I come from Kogi State, we have a lot of cashew nuts. The average KOR is about 45, which is not up to the required standard. I think standard KOR is about 50 or 51. That means the standard.
Okay, Mr. Model, let's do it this way, because
okay,
you are going to become technical for most of us on this line. So we'll give you the contact of Mr. Craig. You guys can talk directly so that we can give other people an opportunity.
Thank you for the opportunity
to ask questions. Yes, Mr. Bernard, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. Let me appreciate ASAM for putting this together, and Mr. Kerodolu, and Longe. Yes. My question is a bit short. For you to participate in the LCFC, do you have to open a separate account with your stockbroking firm? Just as you do for the equities and maybe NASD, do you have to open a separate account with them? Second is—
You mean a separate CSCS account, right?
Yes, something like that. Do you have to do that?
Okay.
Second is, they said with the NASD that it's a negotiated price for the items there. Who does the negotiation? Do you hand it over to the stockbroking firm to negotiate, or are you involved so that by the time they are coming to a certain point, at what point do you become aware that this is the negotiated price that you are required to now pay? Thank you.
Okay,
I hope I'm clear.
Can I just take that immediately,
yes.
Since I think that's the simplest to answer. So NASD, even though they say it's a negotiated price OTC, we've evolved an order-driven system. You know, I think the market has developed enough to drive an order-driven system because of the entities that are listed on the market. So prices are made every day. You go through, I said that we had 152 institutions, 238 brokers. So you have to go through your broker, make your order. The broker brings the order to the market, and the prices are made on a bid and offer basis, just like any other exchange.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Akeredolale, how does it work on your own exchange?
Thank you very much,
Does the person have
Mr. President. Like I said earlier, the only difference in the process in participating in the commodities exchange is the definition of the asset class. You are just dealing in commodities and not equity. So you open your PSS account, you open an account, the KYC will be done by the dealing member from the broker. You'll be given a CSS account number. You'll be needing a clearinghouse number. And when you're going to trade on the exchange, the broker will log in and trade for you and generate your activity statement for you. Same process. A good thing is that you can easily speak to the dealing member firm, some of them that are already dealing equities. They can switch also commodities for you to be able to trade in commodities. It's a simple hybrid whereby you can move from the NASD, the equities market, from equities market, you can go to the commodities market. And if you want to do, you can do the same thing. But having like an integrated global market whereby different asset classes can be traded. And that's what we're trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this clarification.
So you get your stockbroking firm to open an account, an LCFC account.
LC, yes. We'll work with you, Mr. Bernard. We'll work with you in the establishment of the account and the process for the trading, because that's the reason why we're here. Okay. All right. So we'll work with you on that. Mr. Lunge, I have two questions, if you don't mind. The first question is this: I've had clients approach me and they've looked at the list of stocks that are listed on NASD. A lot of those stocks are known names, and they look at the prices at some of them at which some of them are trading, and it piques their interest, but they cannot pull the trigger to go ahead and trade because they do not think that they have enough information. I give you a typical example. IGI, the insurance company, is as an insurance company everybody is aware of, we're familiar with it. We see the price at which IGI is trading on the platform, and lots of clients are saying, okay, look, I mean, this looks interesting, but I cannot put the trigger to go ahead and trade because I just don't have enough information. What can NASD do to improve the information flow from the primary sources, i.e. the quoted companies, so that investors can be able to take buy and sell decisions in a more effective manner? My second question will be this. A lot of us know that, the fintech space is one of the fastest growing space in Nigeria. And a lot of these fintech companies are raising money externally at the moment. So the question will be that, I mean, what is your finding as an exchange? Is it an unwillingness to raise money from the locals? Or do they feel that, they will not be able to raise what they need from locals? Because I know a lot of locals that are looking into that, are looking at that space. They know the potential that exists there, but they could not, they can't find an outlet to actually invest in those outlets because they see that most of those fintechs will rather just raise money externally. So what is your platform doing in that space? Thank you.
Thank you for two excellent questions. I mean, I think I'll take them in the sequence that they came. So for information, just like with all other exchanges, we do have a website. We have a website, and you can get basic information if you click in the right place. So there's a place on the NASD platform that says admitted securities, and you will get basic information. I think maybe the last summary of the last audited accounts. In some cases, you would also get the last annual reports. If you're looking for quarterly information or historic significantly past information, you would have to subscribe to our data portal. I mean, and I think that is standard for most exchanges because it costs us money to store the data. So it's not a lot of money. You pay and then you are able to get that information. But it also happens that once the information is released, it is broadcast on the platform on the day that it is released, and you can get that information. I mean, and going forward, there's a peculiarity about NASD that many people do not understand. So because of its OTC roots, sometimes you don't have the companies privy to the fact that their companies are trading on the market. I mean, and I say privy in inverted commas, because you can actually initiate a trade on a public company that is not listed by just being a shareholder. You take your shares to your broker, your broker brings the shares to the stock exchange, that is to NASD, and you can trade the shares, you know. But it doesn't mean that the company, yes, is notified about the shares, but the company has not come itself to be admitted to the NASD OTC exchange. So it creates somewhat of a gap, a divide between us and them, which we try to bridge with relationship and with functional, what you might call practice. So we have a color guide that has blue, pink, and red companies. Blue companies are those that provide current information, up-to-date information. Pink companies are borderline companies. Red companies are companies that haven't provided information for a while. And if you look at our website, you'd see the categorization and you can immediately begin to tell the quality of the company you're dealing with. But we also have to go the extra mile, and that's why I'm going through all this long description. With building stronger relationships, we can get the companies to come and participate in investor calls. That is where we're going now. And some of them have agreed to participate, and we're working out the arrangements. I think that you're going to see increasingly a lot of that next year, where the companies come to tell the investing public how they are developing, just like with other markets, you know. And we think that that's very important, because on the other side, they complain that they're not seeing traction with their companies. But then you need to be able to interact with the investing public to see the kind of traction you're looking for. The second question was, please remind me.
On the fintech, that's a development area, where a lot of local investors want to get entry, but they can't.
Okay, so first say that most of the investors that provided the seed funding, and in fact, the second, perhaps the third round of funding for most of the signature fintech companies that we've seen come through Nigeria were Nigerian investors, but maybe Nigerian investors outside of Nigeria, or even Nigerian investors that have aggregated peer-to-peer arrangements, private capital, private placements. There's a lot of story about being registered in Delaware. That's the origin of most of these fintech companies. But so some Nigerians have put together 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. They've initiated Paystack, they've initiated Flutterwave, and all the others that we've seen. And then they've gone for a second round of funding, which brings me to your point of, are we not able to are we not able to find the funding that is required? And the truth of the matter is that our structures have not been able to deliver for these companies, So I think that because you see, a company comes to you without any revenues whatsoever, just an idea in somebody's head. And most of the traditional investors will say, look, go and walk a bit and come back. But we've seen that people have earned significant amounts of money. I know a gentleman who invested in Paystack. He gave them their first $100,000. Was it 100,000? I think $100,000. And at the time when they raised the capital that is most renowned today, I mean, he was paid off handsomely. He's also the brain behind PiggyVest, So I think gradually it's coming home, but I will be transparent on this. I mean, say honest on this to say that we have not been able to coordinate the structures that make the fintech investors confident that they can raise the kind of capital they require on the Nigerian market. But that is changing. We are, like I mentioned to you about NASDAQ, like I said on this platform about NASDAQ, we are beginning to see that we tap from the ground floor, and that's one of the areas where we're seeing some firms, some startups come through to showcase what they can do. And we look to see whether we can raise initial funding for them and then help them grow. And then we grow with them towards the subsequent rounds of funding. I think that is what is required, to be able to tap into the fintech ecosystem. If you are looking for a ready-made company, of course, the value is gone by that time. We think that with that, we'll be able to make them a little more confident that they can raise money on these markets. What I think Mr. Omodion said is also important. Investor education is also very important. We have to prepare the opportunity, and we have to project it and make people know what the capacity is for these companies to grow. All the exciting things that Mr. Akeredolu said about the commodity ecosystem, all those also have to be carefully arranged and packaged and delivered to the doorstep of the investor community so that they can access it in a fairly simple way, because right now it's not as straightforward as just going to buy shares on the market.
Yeah, thank you very much for those insights. Alhaji Kurufi, I see you post something on the platform. I don't understand it. Is this a question? Alhaji Kurufi. Oh. Okay. All right. Do we
yes,
have?
I don't have any question. I don't have any question.
Okay. All right.
The only thing that people were asking about the IGI. So I told them IGI just did their public offer of about 9 billion shares at 50 kobo. So those who don't want to know about it, they can look at the prospectus of the IGI, which was just done recently.
They did a public offer?
Yes, now. They are
Really?
outstanding just 9 billion, they issue it at 50 kobo. And they sent circular to all the existing shareholders. I have got my own, but I'm not interested, so I didn't subscribe. But the
so
information is there.
Is the right issue to
no,
existing
it's not
shareholders?
Right. They just public offer because right issue, who will buy? The existing shareholder are not happy. So they make it public. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that's good additional information, which will help aid the decision making by investors.
That's actually a private placement. It's not a public offer, because they had approached us at NESD, and we had been discussing with them on how, whether the Securities and Exchange Commission will permit a public company to issue a private placement. Quite honestly, the information you give me is information that is useful, because I do not know that this has been finalized with the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Well, they issued it to us. I have the papers, the document. I will send you a copy tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much.
And they are offering a 50 kobo, which is significantly higher than the present.
It there, but they did not.
And
Yes,
at 50
it's
kobo,
about
that is
40%
significantly higher
offered.
than the. That's significantly higher than the present price.
The market price, yes.
Significantly
yes. So
higher.
I say, why don't I buy it from the market if I'm interested? I will send you the circular tomorrow, sir.
Right, thank you.
Okay. All right, we have an opportunity for 2 or 3 more questions. Mr. Salama Idris, please go ahead quickly. Mrs. Salama Idris, please go ahead.
Good evening. Yes. My name is Idris. Sorry, I work with the Securities and Exchange Commission. I'm surprised to hear that IGI did a public offer or even private placement. It's a public company. I'm not aware that any application of that sort has been filed with the commission. We're not aware of that, but thank you for the information. I think it's something we'll have to look into. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam, thank you so much for bailing me out, because I was actually beginning to doubt my own memory.
Okay, all right, that's a very good one. That's a good one. So we can take two more questions on the unquoted securities or the commodities exchange before we wrap up for today. Was there? Okay, so I mean, I guess we are all satisfied with what we've heard. We will not. It's clear to us that more information and more enlightenment needs to happen about these two platforms. And quite frankly, the reason why we decided to do this is because we realize that portfolio diversification is what helps investors to bring down their risks. And you can diversify your portfolio either in terms of securities or in terms of asset classes. We know a lot of us make an effort to diversify using securities, but you can achieve further diversification by actually investing in other asset classes, such that if one particular asset class isn't doing well, you get the benefits of other asset classes. And I mean, commodities and unquoted securities are what I will call what I would refer to as hidden gems, where people have been making very, very significant returns. I mean, we've all heard Mr. Akeredolu illustrate to us the sort of income and the sort of profits some people have made trading commodities. And I know personally that people that have bought Peak Milk, Wamco, for the last 10 years, have probably tripled their money now. Meanwhile, a lot of us are not even aware that we can easily get the shares to buy on a recognized exchange. All right. So this is the whole idea behind putting this together. Our hope is to be able to do more of this sort of enlightenment going forward and be able to bring you this sort of high-profile personalities that we have brought today. We thank you for finding time to join. It's our hope that you will continue to participate in our future webinar, and do not hesitate to call any of us. If you need further information, our email address is there. Our website www.drsteven.com provides you more information, and we'll be able to assist you as the case may be. So thank you very much, gentlemen, Mr. Longe of NASD and Mr. Akeredolu for finding time to really join us at this webinar, and also taking time to actually answer our questions. We're really, really grateful for your time.
Well done, all of you. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure.
Over to you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. Thanks for coming. Over to you, Uduak.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you, our participants. Thank you, our discussants. And we look forward to the next month's webinar. And it promised to be a very, very interesting one also. Thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you and bye.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, sir.